All right, what we are going to do is for this lesson, we are going to work on fluency. Fluency, of course, is how well you read, and and do you understand the words that you are reading. So what we are going to do is we're going to work on a skill called echo reading, or a method strategy that's called echo reading. And what that is when I read, you're going to follow along with me. And then one of the strategies that you can use, or one of the things you can do, is read after me. And you'll read exactly what I've read, and then we'll continue on through the short passage. Before we start, Abby, one of the things that we've talked about in the past is some skills you can use to try and help you keep track of where we are when we're reading, or where you are when you're reading. And of course, one of the things that we've talked about is using a ruler, or as we've talked, using a paint stir. You're able to use those, and you put that down. And when you read, as you get to the end of a line, you move it down and you begin at the next line, and so forth. So that is one skill that you can use. Another one is, of course, the tongue depressor. Sometimes when you have crafts and stuff, you have these left over. So you can also use this same way as a ruler. And another thing that you can do, obviously, when you don't have any of those things, is you can use your finger and follow along with your finger. Okay, so that it helps you to keep track of where you're reading. Okay, does that sound good? All right. Okay, it'd be great if you can talk right now. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to begin reading, and we're going to talk about this story first. It's called "The Fisherman and the Fish." What do you think that the story might be about?
A fisherman and a fish.
A fisherman and a fish. Okay, can you give me any more information on the fisherman and the fish?
The fisherman's probably going fishing for fish.
Fisherman's probably going fishing for fish, and then what?
He's going to eat it.
He's going to eat it. Okay. Can you give me any more information? What about when a fisherman goes fishing and he catches a fish and then he eats it? Can you tell me anything more about a fisherman?
He can go fishing in a lake, pond, or an ocean.
You can go fishing in a lake, a pond, or an ocean. Okay. Okay. And when you catch a fish, do fishermen go for any kind of fish, or do they just fish? Fish for fish. Okay. All right. All right, Abby. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to go ahead and start reading. And then what I want you to do is kind of follow along. And then when I'm done at reading at a certain point, you're going to read the same thing that I recently just read. Okay? All right. So, a fisherman sat still on the bank of a sparkling stream one bright afternoon. He had arisen before dawn that morning, eaten a healthy breakfast, packed a good lunch, and set out with his pole and other gear just as the sun was creeping up.
A fisherman sat still on the bank of a sparkling stream one bright afternoon. He had arisen before dawn that morning, eaten a healthy breakfast, packed a good lunch, and set out with his pole and other gear just as the sun was creeping up.
The fisherman sat in the shade of the tree near the cool water. He already had eaten his lunch and taken a small nap. He might have felt completely content, except that he had not caught a single fish all morning and was starting to grow impatient. Perhaps another spot downstream would be better, he said to himself.
The fisherman sat in the shade of a tree near the cool water. He had already eaten his lunch and taken a small nap. He might have felt completely content, except that he had not caught a single fish all morning, and was starting to grow impatient. Perhaps another spot downstream would be better, he said to himself.
Suddenly, the fisherman felt a tug on his line. and when he pulled the pole out of the water, he saw that he had caught a rather small fish. Removing the fish from the hook, the fisherman was startled to hear the creature speak.
Silently, the fisherman felt a tug on his line, and when he pulled the pole out of the water, he saw that he had caught a rather small fish. Removing the fish from the hook, the fisherman was startled to hear the creature speak.
Please let me go, the fish pleaded. I am much too small for you to eat. If you throw me back into the river, I will soon grow to a size that will satisfy your hunger.
Please let me go, the fish pleaded. I am much too small for you to eat. If if you throw me back into the river, I will soon grow to a size that will satisfy your hunger.
The fisherman began to imagine a great fat fish heaped on a serving plate in the middle of his table. As the fisherman paused to think about this, the little fish thought that he had persuaded the fisherman to let him go.
The fisherman began to imagine a great fat fish heaped onto a serving plate in the middle of his table. As the fisherman paused to think about this, the little fish thought that he had persuaded the fisherman to let him go.
However, when the fisherman returned from his daydream, he looked at the fish and said, But I have you now, and I may not catch you again. With that, he tossed the fish into his bucket, picked up his pole, and made his way toward home.
However, when the fisherman returned from his daydream, he looked at the fish and said, But I have you now, and I may not catch you again. With that, he tossed the fish into his bucket, picked up his pole, and made his way toward home.
Very good. Okay, that was very good. Nice job. Okay. One of the things I wanted to do was I first wanted to talk about a couple words from the story. Words that I noticed that we've talked before in the past in our previous lessons um, uh, about suffix endings, and we were working on suffix endings. So I picked a couple words from the story that have some suffix endings, and I wanted to know if we could go over them real quick. The first word is heaped. Heaped. Okay. What suffix do you see in this word?
Ed.
Ed. Okay. Very good. And so the base word would be what?
Heap.
Heap. Very good. In the story, the fisherman, in the story it says that the fisherman began to imagine a great fat fish heaped on a serving plate in the middle of his table. What do you think they meant by heap?
Plopped.
Popped? Okay. Okay. Heaped on a serving plate. Yes, plopped. That sounds like a good one. Okay. How about this one?
Persuaded. Persuaded.
Persuaded, right. Okay. Persuaded, yeah. This is persuaded, and I let you say it first this time. What suffix do we have on this one?
Ed.
The ed, right. And in the story it says that as the fisherman paused to think about this, the little fish thought that he had persuaded the fisherman to let him go. What do you think persuaded means?
I talked to him.
Talking?
Like telling a reason not to let him.
Oh, that's very good. Okay, that's very good. All right, so he tried to let him know, hey, please don't, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay. What about this one? This is creeping. Creeping. What suffix do you see on this one?
Ing.
Ing. Very good. And the ing says what sound?
In.
In. Very good. Okay. And in the story it says, and set out with his pole and other gear just as the sun was creeping up. What do you think creeping might mean?
Like sneaking.
Sneaking? Oh, that's very good. Okay. Good. And this one is sparkling. Sparkling. What suffix do we have on this one?
Ing.
Ing. Question for you though. What word do you think the base word would be for this?
Spark.
Okay. Spark would be the root word. What about
Sparkle.
sparkle? Right. Sparkle. Very good. Sparkle would be the base word. Okay. What do you? Actually, let me tell you where it says it in the story. It says a fisherman sat still on the bank of a sparkling stream one bright afternoon. What do you think sparkling means?
Like it was really sunny and like there was lots of light.
Okay, there was a lot of light. That's good. Okay. All right. And the last one we'll talk about is this one here. And this is pleaded. Okay, it says pleaded. And in the story it says, please let me go, the fish pleaded. What do you think pleaded means?
Bag.
Beg, yes. Very good. And the suffix for this word is?
Plead.
No, the suffix.
Oh, ed.
Ed, right. So the base word would be?
Plead.
Plead. Very good. Okay. All right. Now, you did a very good job. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you a few seconds here to kind of silently read this to yourself. Okay. I'm going to give you a minute or two to read through it. So go ahead and take a minute to read through this. Okay. All right. Good. I know you're ready because you looked at me. So now I know we can move on. All right. What I wanted to do was I wanted to ask you some of the questions. Okay. Ask you some questions to see if you could answer. Okay. So, what time of day was it in the story? Do you remember? What time of day was it in the story?
Afternoon.
It was. It was a bright afternoon that they're talking about in the story, right? In the story, it says the fisherman was becoming impatient by noon. Why do you think he was becoming impatient?
Because he hadn't caught anything.
Okay, he hadn't caught anything. Very good. In the story, it says the fish pleaded to be thrown back into the water. Have you ever pleaded for something?
Yeah.
Yes, you have. Can you tell me something that you pleaded for? Which time, right?
So my phone.
Okay, you pleaded for a phone, right? Very good. Okay. When the fisherman stopped to think about the fish's comment, what did the fish think?
He thought that he persuaded the fisherman.
Ah, I love the way you said that. Very good. He thought he persuaded the fisherman. Okay. And at the end of the story, the fisherman decided to keep the fish. What was the reason for keeping the fish? Why did he keep him?
Because he said that he may not catch him again, so he just took him.
Okay, very good. He said he might not catch him again, huh? Okay, okay. Question for you. Part of this also is I wanted to see if you could do some retelling. Can you tell me some of the story? Can you tell me some of the story? Just tell me about the story.
Um, in the end,
Well, can you tell me something about it?
in the beginning, said that he already had breakfast and wanted to go out to catch some food.
Okay.
In the middle, he was impatient because he couldn't catch anything.
Okay.
And in the end,
so next he was impatient. That's good. I like that. He got impatient because he wasn't finding anything. Okay.
in the end, the fish tried to persuade the fisherman.
What fish?
The fish.
Okay, so he must have caught a fish.
Oh yeah, in the end, he caught a fish.
Okay, so he caught a fish.
And the fish talked and tried to persuade him not to eat him.
Okay.
But the fisherman ended up taking him home because he might have not caught anything after that.
Very good. Okay. Good. Okay. That was very good. All right. So you kind of what you just did was you did retelling. You retold me the story so I could follow along with it, and that was very good. Okay. All right, Abby. That was a very good lesson. You did a very nice job, and we are all done.
Bye.